as we embark on the biggest transformation of our economy since the end of the Second World War. His Majesty King Charles III, who will deliver Canada's speech from the throne on May 27th. Now that election is over, and we are in a once-in-a-lifetime crisis. I will ensure that it happens as soon as possible. No games, nothing, straight.
Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney is set to visit the White House on May 6th. He stated after a call with the U.S. President 3 days ago, April 29th. Carney also declared King Charles III will visit Canada on May 27th, as a testament to Canada's sovereignty after U.S. President Donald Trump's tariff threats. The Liberal leader has ruled out a coalition with NDP, which has won 7 seats in the federal election. Carney's Liberals are at 168 seats, 4 short of the 172 majority mark. Carney also laid out plans of introducing federal spending cuts from 9% to 2%, as well as putting an immigration cap of 5%, down from 7.5% of Canada's total population.
In the coming weeks, I will unveil more of our plans to engage with Canadians as we embark on the biggest transformation of our economy since the end of the Second World War. This will be an incredibly exciting time as we take control of our economic destiny to create a new Canadian economy that works for everyone. We will begin to set out that new path for Canada with a new cabinet to be sworn in on the week of the 12th of May and the recall of Parliament on May 26th. We will have the privilege of welcoming His Majesty King Charles III, who will deliver Canada's speech from the throne on May 27th. Her Majesty the Queen will join this visit. This is an historic honor which matches the weight of our times. To be clear, I made the request of His Majesty, and he has accepted. He will open Parliament with the speech from the throne, and that is it clearly underscores the sovereignty of our country. In what way? It underscores this is the ultimate head of state, which underscores one of the points I made. I'll answer it this way. Je suis devenu le Premier ministre pour la première fois, j'ai mentionné il y a des peuples fondateurs du Canada, des peuples autochtones, des peuples français et des peuples anglais. Et alors, ça indique les fondations de notre nation, la nation canadienne. D'accord. To the immediate priorities of my government, beginning with our relationship with the United States. As I've stressed repeatedly, our old relationship, based on steadily increasing integration, is over. The questions now are how our nations will cooperate in the future and where we in Canada will move on. On Tuesday, I had a very constructive call with President Trump, and we agreed to meet next Tuesday in Washington. Our focus will be on both immediate trade pressures and the broader future economic and security relationship between our two sovereign nations. My government will fight to get the best deal for Canada. We will take all the time necessary, but not more, in order to do so. In parallel, we will strengthen our relationships with reliable trading partners and allies. Canada has what the world needs, and we uphold the values the world respects.
What specifically do you want to get out of your first in-person meeting with President Trump, and will you be focused on trying to get the tariffs lifted?
Thank you for the question. For the first meeting, as I mentioned in my remarks, and the President and I discussed when we had our constructive call, there are 2 sets of issues. There are the immediate tariffs, both sectoral and so-called reciprocal and fentanyl tariffs, and then there is the broader relationship. So addressing both sets of issues. We'll see how that progress goes. It's important to get engaged immediately, which has always been my intention, has always been his intention, and I'm pleased to have the opportunity for quite a comprehensive set of meetings that will take place on Tuesday.
How do you avoid an Oval Office ambush like we saw happen to President Zelensky?
Look, I go there with the expectation of constructive, difficult, but constructive discussions. That's the spirit of the conversations that the President and I had. You go to these meetings well prepared, understanding the objectives of your counterpart, and always acting in the best interest of Canada, and we'll go from there.
Hi, Mr. Carney. In your second call with the President, did Mr. Trump outright say or insinuate at any point that Canada should become the 51st state?
He did not.
All right. We've heard Mr. Trump on April 23rd and his surrogates throughout the final days of the campaign reiterate the idea that they believe Canada should become the 51st state. On the campaign trail, you said on multiple occasions that respect for Canada would be one of the key things in terms of having a meeting with him. Do you think over the past few days we have seen respect for Canada from the Trump administration?
Look, it's always important to distinguish want from reality. La volonté et la réalité, right? What someone wants and what is reality, and what the Canadian people clearly have stated, virtually without exception, is this will never, ever happen. And if any of the leaders of the party and their representatives would attest to that, I think the votes attest to it, I think the public dialogue attests to it as well. We're meeting as heads of our government. To discuss that partnership. Now, I'm not pretending those discussions will be easy, or they won't proceed in a straight line. There will be zigs and zags, ups and downs. But as I said in my remarks, I will fight for the best deal for Canada, and only accept the best deal for Canada, and take as much time that's necessary.
To my colleague's point, the White House's public position has continued to be that Canada should be the 51st state. You yourself have said that Donald Trump is trying to break Canada. Considering all that, how can you expect good faith negotiations when you travel to Washington next week?
Look, I think first I've had the direct conversation with him on whatever day it was, Tuesday, I guess it was, a couple of days ago, and we agreed to have those negotiations. Very clear discussion between us, as I said, very constructive, and I would say the time allocated to our meeting and the seniority of he's the president, so that's as senior as you get, but the other members of his administration who will be assisting at those meetings suggests the seriousness of the discussions. Again, do not expect white smoke out of that meeting. There'll be white smoke probably later somewhere else in the world this month, but do not expect that. But so that's the first thing, is just the level of the direct dialogue, the discussion, the level of people there. The second point, I'll make it quickly, and thank you for restricting the question so others can get in, is that he respects, as others who are good negotiators, and he's one of the best negotiators, they respect strength. That's why we're building Canada strong. There's lots of reasons to build Canada strong, but the point is, and I will make this point repeatedly, we have more than enough to do here at home. That point about we can give ourselves more than the Americans can take away is absolutely right. We can have a bigger boost to our economy, to incomes, to jobs, by focusing on building one Canadian economy, by building these nation-building projects, by focusing on getting productivity up, by reducing government waste, by driving investment in this country. And so that is a good in and of itself. We're going to focus on that while we have these negotiations with the Americans. And if the negotiations with the Americans take longer, so be it. We've got more than enough to do here. The essence of my answer was I don't want to negotiate in public, so I'm not sure I need to add the other words that were around it. But look, it is complex. Particularly, there are examples where, certainly from our perspective, the fentanyl tariffs, were not merited to begin with, but are even less merited given all the steps that the government of Canada has taken and the progress that's been made. This will be a broader discussion, and it's one of the cards that they have, and therefore we'll see how it plays out. We will return our immigration to sustainable levels by capping the total number of temporary workers and international students at less than 5% of Canada's population by the end of 2027. That's a sharp drop from the recent high of 7.3%, and this will help ease strains on housing, on public infrastructure, and social services. At the same time, we will work to attract the best talent in the world to build our economy. Day-to-day government spending, the government's operating budget, has been growing by an unsustainable 9% every year. We will bring that down to 2%, less than half the average nominal growth rate of the economy. We will not cut any transfers to provinces, territories, or individuals. Instead, we'll balance our operating budget over the next 3 years by cutting waste, capping the public service, ending duplicative programs, and deploying technology to boost public sector productivity. We will use scarce taxpayer dollars to catalyze massive private investment. By working together, we can give ourselves far more than the Americans can ever take away. By working together, we can build Canada strong. Canadians in the NHL play for a variety of teams passionately against each other. But when they're in a once-in-a-lifetime series such as the Four Nations or the Olympics, those same Canadians come together to win it all. During elections, Canadians play and cheer for different teams. Now that election is over, and we are in a once-in-a-lifetime crisis. It's time together, it's time to come together to put on our Team Canada sweaters and win big. I've already indicated to Mr. Poilievre that if it's the decision of him and the Conservative Party to trigger, if I can put it that way, a by-election, I will ensure that it happens as soon as possible.
Okay.
No games, nothing, straight.
Mr. Carney, will you be pursuing a formal governing pact of any kind with the NDP?
No. Short answer, no.
And why not?
Why? That's my response. Is we campaigned on a very clear set of objectives, very clear policies to back those up, and we received the highest number of votes in Canadian history. Yes, it is not quite a majority, but highest number of votes. As I said moments ago, majorities in 7 of the 10 provinces, seats in all the provinces, highest vote totals and deputy counts in a number of those provinces. And it's also a style of governing as well, which is in order to do what we need to do as a country, we will need to work in partnership with all the provinces, with Indigenous peoples. Yes, obviously, by definition in Parliament, we will need to get majority support to pass legislation. But this is legislation that Canadians, or at least we will be putting forth legislation that's consistent with our platform and consistent with the requirements of the time. And I will remind that it's not just words. We are in a crisis. You know, if you look at the terrible manifestation of that today in Oshawa for the GM workers, 2,000 GM workers, and I'll just express my deepest sympathy for them and their families. A very difficult time. We are committed to supporting workers. All the dollars from our tariffs going to support workers. Fighting hard for our auto sector, all our sectors in these negotiations with the Americans, and making sure that companies act in true partnership as well in maintaining employment and investment in Canada. And if not, there will be consequences for those companies. That's the spirit. That's the spirit, Catherine. That'll get me coming back.
Your party picked up seats across the country but lost a few seats in Ontario. Why do you think that is, and did those seats cost you your majority?
Well, I think arithmetically, yes, but we could pick other, other seats that went various ways. We'll reflect on that. I think as I said at the top, what I take as the Canadians voted for many reasons in different circumstances. First and foremost, what we've been talking about most of this time, standing up to the Americans, getting the best deal for Canada. That's there. Relatedly, a strong economy that works for everyone. But also clearly affordability issues. We had a big focus on affordability, security, and safety. That's what we take. That's what we take as. Maybe I should say personally, I take as the mandate that the focus of this government should be on those issues. You know, as you know, to govern is to choose. You have to decide where you're going to focus. And I'm signaling, and of course there will be a speech from the throne and subsequent communications, but I'm signaling clearly where that focus is.
And can we expect your cabinet to be larger than your previous one? And will François-Philippe Champagne remain as finance minister?
Did he ask you to ask that question? Now we know your sources. Yeah. We will look. I committed to an efficient cabinet, a focused cabinet, cabinet with parity, gender parity, and we'll work towards it. Those final decisions haven't been made, so Monsieur Champagne he will have to wait.